Hey friends, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Today we're talking about blue fragrances, but not just any fragrances that are blue. We're talking about cheap blue fragrances, but not just that, blue fragrances that are cheap and smell friggin' awesome. Not everybody wants to be spending Dora Savage or Blues Day Channel money just to be smelling good year round. I got you covered. All of these are linked in the description. Let's begin. Now I said Blues to Channel, and I got a fragrance that smells similar to it right here. Iconic Extrait, part of the Club de Nuit line from Armaf. If you want the fragrance that smells closer to actual Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, you want the original Iconic. That one's gonna have much more of a sparkling, zingy citrus opening. It's gonna come across fresher overall. This one is gonna be obviously a little bit deeper, a little heavier, not quite as focused on the citrus. One other thing, because the quickest thing to do is to knee-jerk reaction and say, probably smells like this. Bleu de Chanel Exclusive. If you do a side-by-side, these are not super close. Now, I'm not saying that Armaf was not going for this. It's possible they were, I really don't know. When you wear these at the same time and directly compare them, L'Exclusive is going to have a denser, richer woodiness. It's also smoother, has more of an ambery vibe to it, a bit of sandalwood as well. Iconic Extrait has more of an ambroxany kind of finish to it. It's a much more noticeable difference in that woodiness in the opening, the mid, and the dry down. It has more of a citrus vibe to it. Again, Iconic. It also has kind of like a floral, almost tinniness when you hit the dry down, which you're not gonna find here. And this one also has like a puff of incense that comes across. So I know knee-jerk reaction is, oh, Extrait, that must be L'Exclusive. And if they were going for that, to me, this is more not this, but like a deeper Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum with the twist that kind of pushes it a little closer to that deeper, Bleu de Chanel Parfum side of things without fully getting there. Price-wise though, really affordable. It has hit discounters. Now it's about 40 bucks. You do get that Extrait longevity. And this is kind of just like 2 for 1, okay? So it's Iconic Extrait right here, but that's mainly because I wanted to talk about this. And you could go with the other one and get closer to the Eau de Parfum. Are we on the same page? Cool. Legend. Up next. So this is, of course, the Eau de Parfum. You can tell by that nice, slick-looking presentation. Nice. And a lot of people may say, well, is this really a blue fragrance? Because that bottle ain't blue, brother. I know my colors. I learned them when I was in kindergarten. That is not blue. You are correct. Very astute. But when it comes to blue fragrances, they're more so a vibe. At least in my mind, that's what they are. Because when you say blue fragrance, what you're really saying is something that you can wear almost all the time. We're talking maximum versatility. A lot of times they have a somewhat similar vibe to them. They feature often fruits off the top. They keep kind of an aromatic vibe to them. Again, going for that maximum versatility. And not always, but most of the time you're gonna find them using like woody notes in there, especially in the dry down. And this fragrance pretty much captures all of that. Now it is gonna have a little more density compared to the original Montblanc Legend, which of course smells similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce or Percival from Parfums de Marly. This one is a little tiny bit more grown up. It's got violet in there. It has bergamot, has woody notes, oak moss. And they did come out with a new Legend, Legend Elixir. And that one actually has a note breakdown, which is fantastic. It's got iris in there, 2 different types of vanilla, just really looks nice. But in actuality, I think this is a better fragrance and better for this situation. In fact, Legend Elixir is kind of a letdown for me. So I would still go Legend EDP. And of course, for what it counts or what it matters, Legend Elixir is not cheap yet anyway, so who cares? And it's not that this one is crazy cheap, but at discounters, it is nicely affordable for a fragrance that you can wear whenever you want. If you do want to go cheaper, you can go with the OG, and that will work well too. Missoni Parfum up next, which is another fragrance that smells kind of like Bleu de Chanel. That's 2 of these so far. But it's the last one that smells like Bleu de Chanel. Citrus, lavender, and ginger off the top. Fresh, zingy, clean, bright. As it dries down, nice woodiness. It has birch in there, which is gonna give it a puff of incense kind of vibe. That touch of smoke that you get from birch kind of comes across like that in here. Like I said, smells similar to Bleu de Chanel. But one thing with this, you do want to get, if you care about this anyway, the full presentation. I bought a tester, I cheaped out. It does not come with the cap if you buy a tester, and the cap is magnetic. So every time I see this bottle, I weep. I weep inside. It's very emotional. to miss out on a magnetic cap, but what can you do? And when I say Bleu de Chanel with this one, I'm talking more the eau de toilette. So more of that freshness, more of that citrus, nice little touch of sweetness as well off the top. So this really, really nicely done. Everybody knows Missoni Wave, but this one may be even more versatile than that one. Let's see, my next one out of door. Dylan Blue by Versace. Now, this is the cheap blue fragrance of all the big brands. It kind of goes to war with your YSL Ys, your Sauvages, your Bleu de Chanels, but it is not as expensive as those, especially at discounters. And to me, this one is basically a year-round fragrance, just whenever you want. I have an enormous size bottle, so I'll never run out of the stuff. And of course, it was done by famed perfumer Alberto Morillas. I was close. Big Al, let's go. It's got a somewhat interesting note breakdown. It's got aquatic notes, citrus, and fig leaf. Then as it dries down, ambroxan, black pepper, and saffron. Yeah, it's got kind of an interesting vibe to it, but when you actually smell the fragrance, it is firmly rooted in blue fragrance territory. It smells probably most similar in terms of other blue fragrances to Aqua Atlantique, which is long discontinued, but that's probably the one that it's closest to if you were gonna draw a direct comparison. It is sometimes dumped on a little bit. You know, people will be like, oh, you know, Dylan Blue, basic. But in the real world, this stuff works really well. Presentation looks great. And really the most confusing thing about this one to me is that they haven't done anything with it. I'm not saying that it needs 32 different flankers or anything, but you would think that Versace would be like, well, we should do something with it, you know? Instead, they just released this and went, good enough, yep, leave it. Okay, next one, Afnan Lynked Freedom. This is more of like a modern style blue fragrance, if you wanna call it that, because it smells similar to YSL's Myself. Now, Myself is one of the most versatile fragrances you can buy, period, nowadays. But it is a YSL, it is super popular, so it's not really super affordable. Talking about the original Myself, it's not insanely expensive, but you know, it's a little pricier than a lot of people would want to pay. The note breakdown is super simple on that one also. It basically just has little citrus, some bergamot in there, orange blossom, ambrifix, and you know, pack it up, pack it in, call it a day. I mean, there's a little more than that going on if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, but if you just list off like the three main notes that they kind of advertise, it's that. Off the top, this is much closer to Myself than the other fragrance that's kind of in this one, which is the Most Wanted Parfum. So it's kind of a mix of those two, Myself and the Most Wanted. But especially as it dries down, you get more of that, the Most Wanted that comes out, kind of a warm, ambery sort of sweetness, you know, a little bit of spice as well. So it's just a mix of two extremely popular fragrances nowadays. But really, when you boil it down, in terms of versatility, it's hanging right there with all the other big blue fragrances. Wear it whenever you want, get attention, you know the whole deal. I really like this one, Polo 67. It's the Eau de Toilette. The new Polo 67 Extreme, that stuff is really nice, but that is not even really available yet. Most places I had to buy it from Spain because Ralph Lauren is like, get it out in Spain now. Okay, cool, man, nice. So depending on where you look, this one's gonna run between usually like 45, 50 or so. Might be able to find it for a little bit less, but it's gonna be right in that range most likely. So it has pineapple and citrus off the top, really fresh, bright, clean, more of like a spring, summer kind of vibe. Sage, juniper, and vetiver as it dries down. So those aromatic notes, that bit of wood that I talked about that a lot of blue fragrances share, it has that. And it has drawn some comparisons to YSL Myself. Yeah, but it's not the exact same. Like side by side, you're not gonna be confused about which one is which. This one has more of a zing to it, more of like a zestiness to it when you first spray it on. Zesty. It doesn't have that orange blossom, like clean laundry sort of vibe that Myself can give off. Instead, like I said, this one goes more aromatic. Extremely versatile, super mass appealing. Really love this stuff. Now I gave you the price that this one usually goes for. As of right now, that's at JOMASHOP. Sometimes it pops up other places for less, so you make sure you shop around. That goes for any time you shop, really. But if you were to purchase on JOMASHOP and you wanted to save more money, I have a codes that will do that for you. So the JOMASHOP codes only work within the JOMASHOP app. You have to download the app, then you can use those codes. That's how they do it. Annoying, yes, but that's how it works. Also have codes for Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Beauty House, and a bunch of other stores as well. So anytime you shop at those discounters, use these codes, save yourself some cash. I want to keep it mad cheap with this next one. It is cool water. This is like one of the OG inexpensive blue fragrances, before blue fragrances were really a thing. And of course, everybody knows that Cool Water smells similar to Green Irish Tweed by Creed, because it was done by the same perfumer, the same general idea. It's got a bunch of notes in there. Some of them may be confusing when you see them all together, but it's from a different time, a different place where brands were like, dude, we need to sell this fragrance. Put 40 notes in there, which this one, to be fair, does not have 40, nowhere close to it, but it's from a different time and place where when you looked at a note breakdown, you wanted that bad boy to be robust. You wanted it to be printed across multiple pages like an encyclopedia. You're just flipping through there like, ah, yes, nice. Well, it's an aquatic fragrance, so what else does it need? Mint. Oh, okay, that makes sense, yeah. How about tobacco? Yeah, why not? Tobacco. A little oak moss in there, perhaps. Multiple woods, floral notes. Yeah, really flesh this mamma jamma out. And it rules. Yes, it's gonna be more for guys middle-aged and older at this point because it doesn't really have that sweetness that's become prevalent across almost everything. It has a bit of a soapy vibe to it when you smell it nowadays, sort of that throwback fougere styling, done with a very green, clean edge. I love this stuff. It is a classic. I love Green Irish Tweed as well. And if you're looking for a cheap blue fragrance, that stuff fits the bill. It just may not be what you're looking for depending on what your vibes are. Nitro Red, what? That bottle is the opposite of blue. That is red. That is true, it is red. But in terms of the scent profile, this right here is firmly in the blue category, at least in my opinion, because it smells much more similar to something like Invictus Aqua. Very sweet, bubblegummy, also extremely fresh, a little bit of an aquatic tinge to it, owing to the Invictus Aqua similarities, and then like sprinkled, very dusted, with a little bit of BR 540. Not a whole heck of a lot, but I'm assuming that's why it got its red color scheme and name and everything, when in reality, something like Nitro Blue might have been a closer idea for how it comes across and smells, but they already have, or I guess we're making Nitro Blue, so. And this one is a bit of a hype beast, really strong performance, lasts a long time, projects well, gets people noticed, which is why it sells really, really well. Also the fact it's cheap, that helps. Let's get this little funky dude out here. This is Onyx, MCM Onyx. Nowadays, if you say Onyx, or at least right as when I'm filming this, everybody thinks Codlage, because that stuff is everywhere at the moment, but nah, I'm talking about the little handbag bottle. Yeah, that's right. Atomizer's okay. So this is gonna get you similar to Sauvage Eau de Parfum, kind of close to that. It's got lavender, a little bit of citrus, fresh spices, a little bit of an ambroxany kind of feel as well. Technically though, it's clear wood and vetiver, so not the same as ambroxan, but it does give you that, you know, very stripped down, clean, woody kind of feel, with maybe more of an emphasis on the woods here compared to Sauvage, the way that it comes across. It has more of that like dry, woody bite. Performance is so-so. It is not as strong as Sauvage. So keep that in mind. If you want something that's like Sauvage Performance and you're wearing this, you're gonna have to spray it on a little bit more than you would the Dior. Completely overlooked though, and for a good price, that can be a really nice day-to-day scent. Of course, you gotta mention this, Coach for Men. I know that some people look down on Coach for Men. They say, this is for peasants. The peasantry. How dare they wear such a basic fragrance in my presence? I wear only the finest ouds, artisanal ouds. I want them to smell like a monkey's anus. Not washed, not shaved. I need all the animals. Peasants, how dare you smell pleasant around me? I'll have your head. So yeah, this is made for the peasantry. Let's rejoice, yay. It sells really well, like really, really well. In the US, this is one of the top 30 best-selling fragrances. So yeah, it's been like a sub $50 staple for men pretty much ever since it came out. It has pear off the top, it has bergamot, it's got kumquat, which is not used often. Smells good though. Lavender, cardamom, geranium, like ambroxan, kind of a clean woodiness. Also a hint of leather. I think technically suede, but whatever. Only real drawback for this one is the performance is not amazing. So you have to go heavy if you want it to to last and project pretty well. Also smells a little bit similar to Jimmy Choo Man, which is kind of interesting. Those two fragrances, this one and that one, have been like linked in my mind ever since they came out, you know? So it's like, oh, Coach smells kind of like Jimmy Choo kind of smells like Coach. Between the two though, Coach is definitely the most popular between this one and the Jimmy Choo, and most people would enjoy to own this one more. All right, let's get a couple quick ones here to wrap it up. Legacy right here, Maison Esrar. So this smells similar to Blue Talisman. Blue Talisman obviously cannot make this list. It is quite pricey. But if you wanted something that smells similar to that, this is one of the best out there, if not the best. Really well balanced between the fruits and the woods. Solid performance on it, really good quality. One of the better things Maison Esrar has done. Just said their name's super weird. And Chrome, gonna wrap it up, Chrome Extreme. So Chrome Extreme smells similar to Acqua di Gio Profondo, the original Profondo. Now, Acqua di Gio Profondo is, for a lot of people, gonna be just like an aquatic, you know, spring, summertime aquatic. But when you really break it down, like the type of fragrance that it is, what it's doing, it is more of a blue fragrance than anything else. Yes, there are aquatic notes in there, but there's also minerality, there's that woodiness, there's the citrus, everything else kind of working together. So it's gonna get across that blue fragrance vibe. Super versatile, really people pleasing. If you want something in that style, but you don't wanna pay quite as much money, you can get the Chrome. It'll do just as good. So there we go. Some blue fragrances. Not all of these in blue bottles, but they're all in that super ultra versatile vibe. Cheap and ultra pleasant, mass appealing stuff. For you guys that are still watching here, because if you're hearing me say this, then that means you are still watching. You are the MVPs. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.